Welcome home, family. We want to welcome you guys to another episode of the House Called Bible Study and Podcast, where we're simply real people in real life having real conversation. Even though we do pre-record and upload, this is live, but even though that we do record and upload it to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all those wonderful things, we want to give you guys on Facebook and YouTube and all of the other live sites an opportunity just to share this live broadcast, begin to tag some people, snail mail, whatever you want to do, just to invite some people on tonight. Don't forget that we're live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On all the usual ways. And if you can't come to the house, the purpose of why we're here is we're going to bring the house to you. I want to give a reminder as we're in the genesis of the second season of the house call, that the goal for this season is to get into a lot more controversial conversations, controversial topics. And so in this particular season, we're going to get into some areas of conversations that I think the church needs to talk a little bit more about. And so, what's going on, man?
I feel good. Feel good.
Awesome. And so, hopefully, we got some. Stop talking. Hopefully, we got some whiplash today at the topic of conversation. I don't think that you even know the title for today. He made me lie. He made me lie. I do this from time to time on Sundays, and so I'm gonna put you on the spot. When you hear of "He Made Me Lie," what do you think about?
Oh man, he made me lie. Man, look, a lot of things come to mind. The first thing it could be just like this: it's the enemy. The enemy made me lie. You got the kids. It's like, well, he told me to do it. Brother and sister broke something, and they told you to lie about it. Yeah, that could get deep.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're talking about God today. In the context of God, He made me lie. So me and you had a conversation on Tuesday as we were preparing for this podcast. I'm trying to watch the podcast. There we go. Now it pops up. I was trying to get up my phone. So now we see it. We're rocking. Shout out to all of you guys on Facebook. I'm gonna turn over to YouTube in a second. So we're gonna shout out Facebook first, and then we're gonna shout out YouTube a little bit later. Did you need a table too?
No, I'm good.
Are you good? We rocking.
Yes, sir.
And so we talked on Tuesday about the because and I already told you the dilemma that I had of did I want to do this particular podcast with a pastor, or did I want to do it with somebody that we can have some good conversation with? And I think that there's going to be a duality in this conversation where we can speak on all levels of ministry, especially from my position. I think the only thing that you may not be able to really talk to is the senior leader position, but everything else we can talk about, right?
Sir.
And this conversation may go into the area of burnout, but we'll kind of see what happens. But on Tuesday, we talked about the pressure points, the controversy, the reality of what does balance look like in the context of those that serve in ministry, work in ministry, volunteer in ministry, and everything in between. And so this is a little bit of a jaded conversation to me, and so I'm going to use you to help me balance the conversation about being balanced because, and I'll give my perspective and I'm gonna ask you, when you hear the word balance or when that word balance is thrown to you, what is the social implications in that word? For me, it normally carries a negative connotation that almost 90% of the time when people are talking to me about balance is almost from the vantage point of this is what I want you to do, and this is what you're doing too much of. And it carries a lot of weight of what other people think and what other people want. And even going into, for those of you guys that are listening, and then some of you probably are struggling with balance in your life, in the context of ministry, in the context of your career, academic balance, family balance, parental balance, and anything else, entrepreneurial, business, being a business owner. But for you, when you hear that word balance, and you can answer more of a general way or more of a personal way, like what is the inference of that word balance? How has it been used in your personal life?
Balance when it like the first thing that comes to my mind is the availability, and it's the availability of being pulled in one direction more towards the other, and then trying to level everything out. So like the ministry work balance, the life work balance, even the social ministry balance is just like, how do I, like, I have 100% of me.
Yeah.
How do I balance that out where I could do, like, hey, I don't want to only give 50% to ministry. I want to give more to ministry.
Yeah.
But if I give more to ministry, then I take away from those other areas of my life that still need that attention as well.
Yeah.
So that, when like I hear balance, that's that first thing that pops in my mind.
Yeah, I think that people have this misconception that, if we are 100%, everything needs to be divided. This gets 20%, this gets 30%, this gets 70%, this gets 90%. But one of the things I believe in, and here's where we're going to get a little controversial in it. When you really have harnessed the grace that God has given you in your life, I believe that God has given us the grace. And we're talking about our metron, and that word metron is a Greek word that literally just means the scope of your calling, the scope of your purpose. And so it's the bullseye, it's the center, right? And so a lot of times we are stressed and stretched. And the question is not praying for God to give you more strength. The question is, are you really called to be doing that? I believe that the way that you find your purpose is really looking at your burden and the thing that God has graced you in. And maybe, and it's not a universal, like there are some other parameters and variables we got to factor in, but 9 times out of 10, if you are struggling to do what you're saying God has called you to do, 9 times out of 10, he ain't called you to do that. If you saying to me that he called you to preach and you get up there and you are boring, I want to pull my eyes out. I want to go to sleep in the back of the church like Pastor Darrell did a few weeks ago. Like, come on, man. Maybe I'm not called to do this. Maybe I'm not called to do that. We love Pastor Darrell. We love Pastor Darrell. Maybe that was an indicator that I'm not. Say no, right? But we all we're laughing. It's humorous, but we've all sat through some aspect. Forget church for a second. We've all sat through some aspect where we're having to pretend, pump fake, with somebody or in front of somebody that we all know this is not your lane. This is not your grace. It's controversial because I believe that anything that God has called us to, he has given us the grace to give everything 100% in every category. Even in marriage, like marriages fell because all you gave was 50%. But when you really look at it, is that everything that God has called you to requires 100% of you. And part of this conversation, for me is, what do you do when, and I'm gonna frame it as a question. I'm gonna try to balance the conversation. So if I just wink at me if I'm talking too much, okay? And we're not playing the back seat today. Amen. Your wife over there, so we go testify. But it's not a matter of you're doing too much of this and you're not doing enough here. But the question is, do you even know your purpose enough or the calling on your life enough to even understand what to say yes to and what to say no to? This is the house call. This is real. So there's some people that need to be on this podcast. So I need y'all to tag some people on this podcast.
So that's a real good question, because I'm a person, because I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, everything's a yes. So it's like, hey, I need you to do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Hey, I need you to do this. Yes, I'll take that on. And I'll drown in that situation. But I'll accept it because I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And you know what? I prayed about it. Then this person came and asked me to do that. You know what? That's what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, I'll take that on.
Yeah.
And that's where that balance comes back in, because I empty, or I put other things to the side that I was called to do, to go answer this yes, because I think that is what my yes is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then, something happens or it doesn't work out, but like I am 100%, I'm a yes man.
We demonize, we talk about, we highlight the foolish virgins, that parable in scripture, not recognizing that we are the manifestations of that. Is that God has given you the oil that pertains to every ministry. I loved how when we were dialoguing, it wasn't even dialogue, it was just a text message exchange, and how you broke up your life in different ministries, right? I love that because anything that God has called you to in your personal life, it may get controversial because I believe that your purpose is God given, but there are certain things. Am I going to go there? I think that after Genesis chapter 2, God said that I ain't gonna pick nobody's spouses no more. You have the full responsibility. And so there are certain ministries that are inherited or ascribed, things that you are born into, and then there are things that are decided and walked into. And so, it's almost as if, how can you go into marriage counseling and complain about the spouse that you picked? It's like, how can you go
about a car that you bought?
Yeah, like it's not like family therapy where it's like this is the family you were born into. No, like you decided to have kids, and it's like, well, I didn't plan the pregnancy. That moment you decided to pull your pants down is decided you planned that pregnancy. I'm sorry. Now there's other circumstances and situations, but on the practical level, it's like even the unplanned pregnancies, when you look at it for the most part, it's planned. It's planned, and that's where we got to hold ourselves accountable. And so, those are the ministries. I loved how you said it in the text message. Those are the ministries that, we decided, that we started, but God blessed, right? And so the Bible talks about that children are an inheritance for the Lord, and that marriage is a blessing, right? And so, when we talk about the foolish virgins and then the virgins that were wise, right? All of us and all of them in that parable were giving oil for the husbandman. And so, I want to have a real time dialogue because we ain't done. We ain't done. I wanted to unpack it a little bit deeper than that. It is the inability to say no because you don't really understand the price of your oil. Or is it more of a reflection of you value them more than you value yourself?
It is 100% that I value them more than I value myself. That is 100% it. That I have a bad habit of always putting other people before me. Like just, it doesn't matter what the weight of that situation is. It doesn't matter what the weight of that assignment is.
Yeah.
Like I will just like, you know what? Yep, I can take that burden.
Yeah.
I heard it long time ago. When I first heard it, I'm like, hey, you know what? Like this is a really good saying. I'm gonna keep that, and then that's it. It's just like, you know what? God gave me really broad shoulders because I can carry a lot. But the more and more life goes on, and the more I think of it, it's like, no, because I looked at it as I'm supposed to carry everything, but like I'm not. I am not I didn't call you to be the workhorse. Like, hey, what if I called you to be like the show pony? Like I wanted you out there, out and about, just showing the goodness of me.
Come on.
I didn't call you to carry the burden. It's like, yes, I called people to be my workhorses. I called people like, I need you to carry the burden of the people. And, just to get them from point A to point B, you offload them and then you go back and then you take another one. But that is not what I called you to.
Come on.
So like I 100%, no matter what the situation is, without a second thought, I'll say yes and then go back and change everything that I had to do to accommodate that yes. So it is not me knowing the other side of that. No, I don't know the price of my life.
So really what you're saying is the reason why you're there is because you have not tapped into the understanding that God made you lie.
Yep. Yeah, that is it. That is it 100%.
Yo,
yes.
I promise you, if you understand I theologically and I can exegete this word, just do me a favor and put that in the chat, and I promise we're gonna tie it together. Because sometimes we gotta be a little controversial just to get people to listen. But If you're ready to unpack this, just put in the comments, God made me lie. God made me lie. Is it true that there are millions of men right now drowning under the weight of their assignment, of their purpose, of their calling, of their baggage?
Yes.
I got this illustration, illustrative sermon that I want to do over the next 2 months. I just got to get the budget so that I can illustrate the way that I want to. But is it accurate that there are a lot of men that are struggling right now under the weight of all of that pressure because they were incorrectly taught by the church that the wife was the first ministry, that the children were the first ministry, that your job was your first ministry, making sure when your first ministry is literally my title, that God made me lie. God made me lie. I want to look at Psalms chapter 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And he makes me lie. I love not the plural, the pluralness of how David framed that scripture, but now remember, David was a little bit of a G. He had wives and concubines, but this is a singular sentence that was birthed that he made me lie down. And when you look at that, the pre and the post, that there was a circumstance where there was a potential for want, but because the Lord is my shepherd, I have no want. Mm-hmm. And then it goes on to talk about that he leads me beside the still waters, and it talks about walking through the valley of the shadow of darkness, right? But there's a part that I want to focus on today because I think that we misrepresent ministry. There's a ministry that the church has, and then there's a ministry that the kingdom has, and the two are very distinctly different. Mm-hmm. Because as I was studying for today, there is no such thing, and this is about to get real heavy. There is no such thing as the concept of burnout as it relates to the ministry that God has given us. Because remember, he made me lie. Mm-hmm. He made me lie. When we associate ministry, because ministry is work, right? Mm-hmm. I wrote down Ephesians chapter 4, that the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, pastors, and teachers were giving to equip the saints for the work of ministry. Mm-hmm. That word work, it comes from the same word where we get the word deacon from, right? And it talks about serving. It talks about becoming a subordinate to help others, right? Mm-hmm. Ministry is work, right? So some of you right now are traumatized because of the work of ministry. But when we really understand ministry from God's vantage point, there is no such thing as, now I don't know nothing about music culture. Who wrote that song? Work, work, work. Was it Rihanna? You sure? Mm-hmm. All right, I was about to say Cardi B, but Rihanna. I didn't say that. I was about to say that. I didn't say. I knew it was Rihanna. I was testing y'all. Like we have that mindset. I think Rihanna learned that song from the church because all we do in the church is work, work, work. Mm-hmm. But when you really look at it from more of a kingdom perspective, he makes us lie, which means that there is provision in every assignment. There is, how like you got a suitcase and there's like compartments. Inside of every compartment in your life, there is a part of it where he should be making you lie down. I was at a point a few nights ago where I had all of this stuff to do, like a paper, I'm in a research process right now, and I heard the Lord say this, and mind you, I was up against like a 2-day deadline. I wasn't even in Philly, I was in Dallas, and I was like, Lord, I don't even have the time to do this right now. I gotta stay up all night. I got to preach the next morning. I got to stay up all night. And the Lord said this, go to sleep. Mm. And why is it that we understand God as provider, but we still reference him as a taskmaster, that as if there is no rest, recuperation, and restoration? Because what does it go on to say? He restores my soul. And so I want to unpack that with you just a little bit more, that that number one, why is it difficult for us? And you want to talk about this from a male perspective, or you want to stay a little bit more general?
We could talk about it from a male perspective.
Why is it hard for us to prioritize ourselves first?
Because that's not what we're taught. That is not what we are taught from birth. Like, man don't work, don't eat. Like, just that's always there. Man don't work, don't eat. We are not taught we are not taught self-care. We are not taught to, like, hey, well, you got to do X, Y, and Z. Like, no, we are taught to work yourself to the bone, because that's what a man is supposed to do to provide for his home. And if you're hurt, shake it off and then get back out there. That's what we're taught. We are not taught rest. We're not taught sleep. We're not taught, like, hey, go to the doctors and take care of yourself. Hey, you got to go on trips and do things like that for your own mental health. Like, no. So, like, male suicide is at an all-time high because we are working ourselves to death.
Yeah.
Depression in men is at an all-time high. Why? Because we are driving ourselves crazy, because we are trying to do all of these things to provide for our families, and in the flip side of it, we are not doing anything to take care of ourselves.
Come on.
And if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of our families.
You know what's crazy? We were at the airport, and you can't even get on the plane before the plane is properly cleaned, maintained, and then checked on all levels that this thing is clear to take off. Mm-hmm. I want you to look at that camera right there. Taylor, put him in, and shout out to Taylor, who's our mistress of ceremonies tonight on the production side. And I want you to speak directly to the men, and honestly, even to the women, that they are stuck in a situation where they're having to take care of everybody else at the neglect for themselves, and just give some counsel and feedback to what needs to happen and what God is saying in this particular conversation.
As somebody who is struggling with that right now, where everyone else is more important than you cannot pour from, I'm not even going to say empty, I'm going to say broken. You cannot pour from a broken jug. Jugs with holes, jugs with cracks. If those are not fixed and healed from the potter, you can't pour from it. So you can't take care of anybody else if you don't take care of you. A few weeks ago, I had sat down, had a complete breakdown with my wife about things that were going on. And the next day, I was blessed by a family, because I found a young lady's wallet. She was happy at the fact that she did not have to, redo everything. So they blessed me with something, and I was so grateful for it. And the first thing that came to my mind is what I can do with that to someone else. Mm-hmm. I didn't spend any of that on me. I gave it out. I gave it away for somebody else to do something else with. And that, after that, and this happens to me a lot. I met an old lady on the bus on my way to work, minding my own business, and she came to me and she told me, she's like, "You're the fool on the roof." And I'm just like, wait, what? Then that story that they're always talked about, the guy on the roof with the flood, and they sent the boat, they sent the helicopter, and then he drowned and they got to heaven. It's like, God, you forgot about me. And it's like, no, I sent you everything you needed. You were just waiting for something else, and you're the fool on the roof. And that's what she told. And when she told me, it hit me. It's just like, hey, I get in these moments and I complain about everything, and then God blesses me, and then I give it away. So it's like you can't complain about something you don't have to take care of yourself if you're constantly giving it away to other people for them to take care of them, and then you're back to square one complaining about what you don't have. So I'm here to tell you that it is okay to take care of you. It is okay to take care of number one. Your self-care matters, the way you look, different things like that. All of that matters. So the next time that you are blessed, spend it on you. Everybody else, the family will be fine. You are not taking anything away from anything else. God bless you with that. Take care of yourself.
It's funny because every time you get on the plane, they tell you every single time before you help somebody else, the mad, you know what they do. And I wish, as much as I fly, I can't even go through the whole thing because I stopped listening in the 2000s. I don't know what they be saying. I'm just glad y'all remember back in the day where they would like be on you about put your phone away, put your phone away. I don't even know when the shift happened. I'm just glad I could have my phone. They'd be like, put it on airplane mode. I'm not putting it on airplane mode. I want to make my phone calls at 10,000 feet in the air, however high. But they always tell you that before you help anybody else with their mask,
Put your mask on first.
make sure you have your mask on first. There were some people that are, it starts with a D. When you lose oxygen, you should know because you're in school. I can't think of the word, but it's a phenomenon where when you lose oxygen, I think it starts with a D, right? And there are some of you right now passing out spiritually. You're passing out culturally, socially. Some of you should be in school right now, but you're passing out academically. Yeah, let's say even if it's not delirium, we're gonna say it's delirium, right? So some of you are passing out because of a loss of oxygen because you are the one trying to help 90 other people put their mask on, and you passed out and spiritually died because you were not obedient when the Holy Spirit showed up as the flight attendant and said, put your mask on first. For every leader, put your mask on first. For every man, put your mask on first. For every mother, for every aunt, grandmother, grandfather, put your mask on first because you will not have the oxygen to sustain you to help anybody else.
The other thing that happens when you get in that situation is you start getting mad at the people that you helped.
Come on.
That you're putting that help out. Like, hey, I'm telling you to do this, and I want you to tell me no. So then I don't feel bad because I offered it. And like now I'm going that way. But then you start getting mad at people when it's just like when they're taking it. Like people are going to take it because, you know, they could be going through something. You offer it. Yeah, I'm going to take it. But then you're getting mad that, well, nobody's turning anything down. And, you know, well, nobody's offering that same help back to me. Those people know how to take care of themselves. Look, my wife is the queen of I am going to take care of myself. I am going to do whatever I have to do for my mental health, because if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of anybody else. And it's sad because I watch it. I'm just like, hey, you know what? That is good that she know how to take care of herself. Who need this? And that is sad, but that's what it is. That I have a perfect example of someone who, you know, like I'm gonna take care of me. I'm gonna get me together, and then when I got me together, I can get everybody else done, and I still do it the opposite way. So yeah.
Yeah, you know, for so many of us, I think that we overlook, like we focus on the part that we want to do, the part that we think is going to make us look great, the part that's going to take us to where we want to be. And you don't need a psychology degree to teach you to put self first and to take care of your temple when it's in the Bible, because, and this is what we're talking about tonight, he makes us lie. And one of the aspects, and I love how this conversation is flowing, one of the reasons or contexts that prevents us from properly and effectively and efficiently lying down is because of a misinterpretation of what that season is. A lot of us will take a season of law, inactivity, nothing happening, nothing moving, God not speaking, God not revealing, God not talking, things not moving, and we'll look at that and interpret it as personal failure. When what if that the quietest season in your life was the season where you should have been fast asleep in the first place? I think that that's the part for a lot of us that we have to stop performing and understanding that even the best performers need quality sleep. And do they, I mean, I almost went there, and then the Lord was like, stay in your lane, it's not your grace. Went to the sports analogy, right? But I used to play tennis, and one of the things that in middle school, and one of the things that the coach used to always stress was water and sleep, water and sleep. Well, and nutrition, water, sleep, and nutrition, water, sleep, and nutrition. My dad historically was a bodybuilder. Water, sleep, nutrition, vitamins, just that high fructose corn syrup, cut it out, organic, organic, organic. But he used to always stress like sleep. You know, I used to get so mad when my mom during the school week used to always make us go to sleep, right? I didn't have a TV in the room growing up. Can I just vent for a second? You know, I had a horrible childhood. It's like, no, it's like, no. I didn't have a TV in the house. We ain't had no cable since I was grown. And my mom was adamant, like at 8:30, lights out. Like, what y'all, you know, most of my classmates used to stay up at 9:30. I had to be at 8:30, right? But my mom, like now growing older, you know, and of course, you know, we don't do it, but I understand the importance of quality sleep because it has a direct input on your level of comprehension and capacity to learn and understand and to function and focus. And so, you know, I think that for a lot of us, and I'll ask you as a question of, are you the one that if God ain't really speaking and God ain't even doing, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, is that is where we have to learn. I'm gonna flip it as a statement, and I'm gonna let you just chime in. That is where we have to learn that when God is quiet, that is not the season just to say yes to everything and everybody.
When he is quiet, I am busy.
Woo!
Like that is it.
Come on, just put a number one. If that's you, say that one more time.
When he is quiet, I am busy.
If that is you, I just need you to put a number one so that we could just do a mass deliverance tonight.
Yep, it's been me. It's just like, you know what, I'm praying. Don't know what I'm supposed to do. All right, so I'm just gonna just go do. Gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do X. I'll go over here. I'll go do this. Like, yeah, when I don't hear from him, I'm instead of just sitting in silence and just waiting, I'm busy just doing whatever I think I'm supposed to be doing.
Your next season, it requires quality rest. Your next season requires quality rest.
Because I'm always trying to find something like, all right, even I'm so bad that even when I sit down to try to do something else, there's something in the back of my head that's going, this time can be spent better doing something else. So I will get like, all right, let me get up and let me go, you know, whatever. So, yeah. Yep. And I've been yelled at by multiple people. I do not rest like I'm supposed to. I will say like, hey, I'm not going to do this so I can rest. And I talk to somebody later. It's like, hey, did you rest like you were supposed to? No, I went off and did this. And, you know, they don't even say that no more because I'm not having that conversation with you no more. Like, yeah, you should do this and you decide to do that. So we're not even having that conversation. So
I think the number one place where scriptures are always taken the most out of context is at funeral services. Because people all notorious be like, it was just their time. No, it wasn't their time. This is what it looks like when you do it your way and not God's way. And then we're not talking about this. We're not talking about universally, you know. But in a lot of instances, it's like the person was sick. Why did they end up sick? Because of their nutrition, their diet, because of their lack of rest, lack of self-care. Like this is one of the realities. And the reason why I know it's has less to do with God and has everything to do with us is because you can look at it from a data perspective and see how the curves impact certain communities more than other communities. It's not God. It's not that God hates Black people more than He hates Caucasian people. No, there are some traceable variables and factors that we have to be accountable for. And I think that this is why God kind of, you know, led us in this direction for this podcast tonight, is because He makes you lie. He is trying to make you lie. You know, in the last season, Monday was my day. You can have me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday was my day. The season that I'm in right now, honestly, my Mondays kind of go into each other now.
Okay.
And there are, and I'm not Jesus, so certain scriptures we can't just use it as a scapegoat. But I'm in a season of my life where if I'm on the mountain and that makes you question my loyalty or my love for you, you may have never been called to me in the first place. Because the place where I am and where I need to go, like I'm in a season now. I have reached out to. I don't think I ever reached out to you on a Tuesday or a Thursday. Have I ever, Taylor? Right. This is the first time ever. I don't think I ever text Naya. Never text. Oh, y'all was talking about me. What happens when you hear? That's when my eye was twitching. I thought it was the eye twitch.
Oh, I don't know. Yep. Some of y'all in the broadcast can be real proud. This was the first day probably since we've started, especially we started the podcast. I reached out for help. Is because there is a level of focus and concentration that was, the deacons ministry wasn't created because God wanted that to be a part of like the offices and church government, but it was actually created out of a necessity that if the apostles and the prophets continue to wait on tables and to give their attention to other things, they would not be effective in their apostolic call. And so, God began to raise up gifts and raise up people to distribute the weight. And so, I had to humble myself. Like I literally for 2 hours was like, because I can do it. But just because you can do it don't mean that you should do it. And that's an area, and I'm gonna pull you to a higher level in conversation. That is a level that every leader is going to have to decide: are you going to be a great leader or an average leader? Because what differentiates a great leader from an average leader is great leaders are not intimidated when they need help. And remember, leaders is not just a leader in a church. A mother is a type of leader. A father is a type of leader, right? And, I commend you guys. You guys have no issues calling on the help. Like Deacon Deb, Deacon Sylvester, we need help with the kids, right? Shout out to all of my family, my wife's family. Like they are, sometimes they get a little mad when we don't ask them for help, right? And we're just in a season where like help is a part of my assignment. Help is a part of my assignment. Anybody that dogs the help, anybody that sends the help away, anybody that does not appreciate the help, and I feel this in my spirit now, anybody that does not allow the help to help will be somebody that will go nowhere very fast. Woo. You can't do it all on your own. You cannot. No. And I definitely want to second thanking the help, and I would take it further than just my mom and my dad, my sister, my brother, whenever it's just like, hey, you know what, overwhelmed, need a day, we need a night, if they are not busy, they don't have anything to do, like, yeah, we'll take them, go ahead and I mean, it goes further than just our family. We have our church family that have been, Pastor Darrell and Pastor Lisa. It's like, hey, when's you guys date night? Like when are you like, we'll take the kids, you guys go out and do something, we just haven't got a chance to plan it. But, we have people that is like, hey, I see that you guys need this.
Yeah.
How can we help you do this?
Yeah.
And we're not telling them like, no, we don't need it. It's just like, we just don't have time to plan what it is. So, I appreciate, everybody who, because like in the beginning, our support system was small. We really did not have anybody but my family. And if my family was busy, we couldn't do anything. But, because of the grace of God, that support system has grown where, we do have people that will volunteer like, hey, we'll take them, that y'all go do that. And, we are very happy for it because that was something that we prayed for.
Come on.
Even before the twins, even with Sydney and Savannah and how old they were, like we did not have the support system for it. So, that is definitely like a blessing that, like that support system continues to grow. Now, the only prayer is just like, hey, when are we going to be able to find time to do those things that we can use that support?
Yeah.
But that was in the beginning, early, I would say probably it was more Sydney than Savannah. Like we definitely tried to do everything on our own, just killing ourselves, trying to do everything on our own. And then when people found out about it afterwards, being upset because like that I'm a phone call or a text message away. Why didn't you call and ask me? And I would have definitely I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
So those were hard lessons that we had to learn. But we did learn them. But as going back to that he made me lie in the rest, that is something that we as men also were taught that like the worst line ever. It's like, well, you can sleep when you dead. Like just go ahead and just go out and do these things. And that was awful. And that is still being taught to this day. That's one of the entrepreneurs, spirit. It's like, oh, you don't need sleep. Why they sleep? You're working. Like, but then when you're dead, and then they're gonna keep going, and then they're gonna pick up the business that you dropped. Like, no, like you said, like you need that rest. And that is something I definitely need to learn in this season.
It's funny because even though that we don't really hear that, like you'll sleep when you dead, the same connotation, the same undertone and spirit still exists in the church. And it's where we bait people into leadership at the expense of everything that in the original sense that is holding them intact. I was looking at 1 Corinthians 3:2-7. It just talks about the qualifications of elders. And how many times have we read this scripture or gone through these scriptures and we've used this to penalize people or to judge people? But when you really look at it from this vantage point, that the elders need to be above reproach, the husband of one wife, temperate, prudent, respectful, hospitable, able to teach, and not a drunkard. These are not things where, like, if you don't have this, you can't be this. No, there is a level of pressure that if you struggle with alcohol, if there is some problems in your home, if your character's not in check, this thing could kill you. It could take you overboard. And I love what Shahida said a little while ago, that even Moses needed help. And so a help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of leadership. Can y'all put that in the comments, that help is not a sign of weakness? It is a sign of leadership. And there are certain aspects where, because leadership is not leadership into influence, is leadership into a greater help, to help more people, to be of a help in maybe more of a notable way or more of a exhaustive way, an explicit way, however, whatever type of leader that you are. But like in my opinion, like I'm like Moses. I wish everybody was a leader, but I can't give you this title that may sink you later. Like there are some people in our church where like I wish I could ordain you tomorrow, but in good conscience in my spirit, can't put a title that would anchor you down under the water. You have to be built. And it's not, I mean, I'm not saying that you'll never be ready for it.
You're just not ready now.
But ministry should never be at the sacrifice of your family. We can't have that mindset in ministry of, oh, we'll just work today and we'll just sleep when we're dead. Because what we're doing is we're calling that D-Day closer with that mentality, but understanding that, learn how to properly steward your season. Learn how to properly steward your season. Well, one thing I was thinking about, because he makes me lie down. And this is a question that I want to see some of your responses in the. For those of you that are listening live right now, I want to hear some of your responses in the comments, and then those that are listening on the podcast, whether on Spotify, Apple, Spotify. I want you to email us, whether at houseofgloryphilly@gmail.com or the podcast email. I forgot what the podcast email is. It's something phillyhousecall@gmail.com. In the context of you, is it a involuntary lie down? Or is it a voluntary lie down. In this season of my life, all he got to do is tell me once. I've seen enough failed marriages in the church. I've seen enough, I ain't gonna say that. Broken families in the church. I almost went there. I've seen enough. I've seen enough to understand that if God has given me an inkling, and one of the ways for me to recognize when it's my season to rest is when my triggers get a little bit triggerish. Like you know, and I love how House of Glory Philly be trying to clown me sometimes, but you know, it's that moment where I just take my graceful exit. It's like there comes a point where it's no highs, it's no buys. I just got to take an exit right now, and it's not I'm mad, it's not I'm frustrated. I'm overloaded, and God is saying, "Oh, it's time for you to take your rest."
You get overstimulated.
Yeah, is it voluntary or involuntary?
It is involuntary.
Because you know that hurts more.
Oh, it does. It does. But most of the time, it is involuntary for me. It is. Before the kids went back to school, most of my off days weren't like off days for me. So it was just like, you know, I went from work to home, and then home was like work. So that time when everybody was asleep, that was my time. So that 3, 4, 5 a.m., there were some nights where everybody go to sleep. I had to be to work at 9:45, and I'm up and I'm just watching the sun come up because that was my time for whatever I was going to do in that moment, whether it was reading, whether it was, you know, my time in worship, my time in prayer, like whatever that time was, that was my time. And, you know, sometimes I wasn't my best self when I had to go to work because I was tired because I didn't rest. But,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just trying to steal the hours whenever I could because, you know, you go from work and you go home, and then the minute that you walk in the door, you know, like your work hat is off, and then you come in and you put your dad hat on, and then you're right back into it.
Yeah.
You know, I got, you know, my 2 twins. As soon as I walk in the door, you know, they're coming, "Daddy's home," and they're telling everybody, "Come over, come on, Daddy's home." You know, so you don't even get that second to decompress. Like you're right back into it.
Yeah.
So you know, that's where, you know, me being up to like 3, 4 in the morning. And I think I get it honest because there are some times when I'm up at 3, 4 in the morning,
Yeah.
and I'm receiving like text messages or stuff on Instagram or Facebook from my mom because she's up too, because you know she doesn't go to sleep either. But when I crash, when I am down,
Yeah.
that is that involuntary. When I will sit on the couch and I will blink, and the next thing I know, it's like 2, 3 in the morning, and you know, like, wait, what happened from the time that this happened to that happened?
Yeah.
You know, and even, you know, I'll take it out of like physical rest, you know, all of a sudden, you know, everything, all the opportunities that were coming and that were available stop because I need you to just relax.
Yeah.
And it's not even so much as I need you to go to sleep. I need you just to stop so you can hear me give you
Yeah.
my next instruction. So I'm just going to stop these things from being available to you, because if you keep going, not only are you going to start picking up, you know, the assignments that not supposed to be assignments,
Yeah.
but you're going to miss what I actually called you to do.
Yeah.
So that a lot of the like that rest time for me is involuntary.
Yeah. I love the distinction between it didn't say he makes me stop. It didn't say he makes me pause. It said he makes me lie down, which means that there is a qualitative aspect to it where all of us, and this is not universal, this is individually, that all of us have to really do that assessment and says, what does that look like for me in this season? Because for some of us, the issue is not like physically lying down. Because the Lord even checked me, even in like I try to, like, before we go live, I try to get in the zone and really just process and meditate, and literally 5 minutes before this broadcast, and I wrote it as a note. I wasn't going to say it live, but the Lord said that most of us are saying we're burnt out from ministry, we're burnt out from serving, and it's not that. The Lord said that your purpose is not designed to burn you out. Your purpose was never designed to burn you out. There's a certain direction I want to go, but it may not go there tonight, so we might have to do a part 2. But the thing that is really burning you out is the worry of your purpose. Is the thing that's burning you out. And literally like that 5 minutes when we were counting down, I was really thinking about, actually my purpose is easy. And Shahida said, I think Shahida said it earlier too. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. Like, your purpose and being yoked to Christ, that's the easy part. But it's the extra baggage that you're carrying, the worry of what you're losing, what you're missing out. How is this going to work? I wrote this down. All we're called to is carry the what and the why. The what is what I'm supposed to be doing. The why is he sent me. If you have any understanding of apostolic ministry, he sent me. That's the why. Some people be asking me, why you do what you do? Because he sent me. I'm born for this. I'm built for this. But what we were never called to carry, this is what God is called to carry. The who, the when, the where, and the how. And the reason why you burn out, we talked 2 weeks ago about compassion fatigue. Now we talking about the purpose fatigue tonight, right? Is you're fatigued because you're trying to figure out who is supposed to walk with you, who you supposed to service, when is it going to happen, how is it going to happen. That is the thing that's burning you out. And God is saying, if you would just lay down and watch me work, if you would just stop talking and watch me move, then the thing that kept you up that night really would be the thing that you can go to sleep with an expectation that when I wake up weeping may endure. Let me preach for a second. Weeping may endure for a night. But the expectation and the thing that should drive you to be able to get some sweet sleep. There's a scripture that talks about that God has blessed us with the ability to have sweet sleep. It's a promise. Sleep is not just a genetic thing. It's not an anatomical thing. No, it's a prophetic promise that when you trust me, that when you keep your mind on me and allow my perfect peace to be on you, that you can go to sleep easier knowing that you can expect joy to come in the morning. Come on, Joy. I'm glad you're here tonight. Right? But when you're worried about the how it's going to happen, where the money is going to come from, how is it going to work out, it's going to kill and assassinate your sleep. God is saying, when you really have full assurance and trust in me, sleep will never be an issue. Ooh, it's a lack of sleep. What is it? Hypersomnia. And insomnia really, and not necessarily from a biological standpoint, but really has a lot to do with where is your faith level? Where is your confidence at? What are you looking at? Where are you looking unto? God is saying, we got to lift up our eyes tonight upon the hills from which cometh our help. I prophesied to at least 15 of y'all, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Because I promise you, I'm dangerous when I'm well rested.
I mean, everybody would be dangerous when you're well rested because you're more aware of the situations and everything that's going on around you. But you not only having, that worry-free sleep, but just worry-free period.
Come on.
I was talking about Jesus, take the wheel. Most of us is like, Jesus, take the wheel. But I'm gonna hold on to this side.
Come on.
Make sure I want to steer it left or steer it right. Or it's like, Jesus, take the wheel. Or you're in that it's like the driving instructor car where you have the wheel and the gas and the brake on this side, but they have it on this side too. A lot of us are driving in those cars with Jesus, where we give him that wheel, but I'm gonna control it on this side too. Because if I don't think you're gonna brake soon enough, I'm gonna hit the brake over here because I'm not trusting you that you're gonna stop.
Come on.
Enough. A lot of us are like that when we are worrying so much about everything. A lot of us worry so much about situations on how it's going to get done, when it's going to get done, that when it actually happens, we don't know what to do after it. Because we worried about this so much and then we get it, then it's just like,
Now, is it
Now
going?
what?
Is this for real?
Yeah, it's like it's the now what? So now you're worrying about like now I don't even know what to do with this promised land when I get here because I was worried so much about getting here. Now I'm here and now I can't enjoy it. Like we do that to ourselves where we just give it to him and we just relax. When we get it, it's just like, all right, now we're gonna do this X, Y, and Z. But I tried so much to do your job getting here. When I get here, now I don't know what to do.
Come on.
And that is 100% like everybody. And the like I admire Pastor Darrell so much because he is the perfect example of God, I'm giving this to you, and I'm not gonna look back at it. I'm gonna write this down, I'm closing the book, and that's it. Whatever you told, like you told me that I will never be without, I trust you with that. A bill just came, I don't know how that's gonna get paid. You gonna take care of it. I'm gonna fold it up. I'm putting it over there.
Come on.
And I'm gonna go work on something else. And then that is it. And I want like that level of faith to just say like, you know what, God got it and not think about it. And then when it happens, all glory to God because he took care of that. It was not me.
Come on.
But a lot of us we also want the glory. We also want to be able to say, I did this. And God is not ever going to let you fail because you are his child. You are a representation of him. So when I bless you, the world sees that God got you out of that situation. They see that God will never let you down. So you have people on the outside that's like, you know what? I want to know the God that you know. Because if he ain't never going to let you
Come
down,
on.
he ain't going to let me down either. So please tell me that how I can know that God.
Come on.
But if we out here trying to do everything ourselves and it's always, well, I did this and I did that and I did that, when does God get the glory?
Come on.
I mean, how are we being examples of him to other people if it's always just, you know, like, yeah, well, you know, I did this and I did, you know, look, I worked 40 hours and that's how I got this.
Come on.
You know what? Yeah, I got my credit together and that's how I got that house. But like you like, no.
Yo, I hear that because sometimes when I'm prophesying, I hear that for so many people that how does it feel to have worked 80 hours in 1 week just to recognize that you didn't even need to do none of that because God was going to bless you anyway?
That is part of my season right now because since say July, I have not worked pretty much like a full week at work. Since July, I have not worked a full week at work. It's a few days here, it's a few days here. You know, I'm out early so I can come do things ministry wise. I have not worked a full week. I have not worked an entire 40-hour week. You know, however many hours I normally work in a month. I have not worked a full month. But other than one mistake that was my fault, not his, I like there's not been a hey, well, you know, my check looks like I didn't work. Like, no. Like, it's just other than that one time, it's just like, hey, still give you the money to go do that and still got this to do this.
Come on.
Still give you the money to go do that and I still have this to do this. And it is nothing but the grace of God and his blessing that is just like, hey, just trust me, do what I told you to do.
Yeah.
These are the places that I need you to be at these times. Don't worry about what's happening over there when I told you to go over there. And like, I'm getting to that point where it's just like, all right, if you told me to go over there, I'm gonna go over there. All right, God, I don't see it.
Yeah.
Just don't look from, you know, what them zeros say. I don't know how we're gonna be able to do that, but I'm gonna have to, you know, still worry on some nights. But, you know, I am getting to the point where it's just like I don't have to, I don't have to worry about that. And like I feel like my time, you know, doing like the 9 to 5, the retail hustle is coming to an end, and he's preparing me for like, you're going to do everything for you and your family and then not have to worry about how many hours are on something. Like, you do the work and then that's it. And I'm going to take care of everything after that.
Yeah.
Like I feel that's the direction I'm going. And like what he has put me through these past couple months is preparing me for like, you don't have to work that hard. for me to supply you and your family. And I feel that's where we're going.
Yeah, I love the association of this conversation because um, we serve a God that is very systematic. That He does everything in systems. He does everything in seasons. God can say that I'm going to cause you to be ruler of many, but we'll start you off in some nasty looking field with a pigs and some sheep, and then take you into a warfare zone. We're talking about David, and then take you into serving the king to being the king. We serve a systematic God. And the way that we go through seasons really has nothing to do with like we have to get this and then get this and then get this and then get this to be ready. But it's more so we have to do this and do this and do this. And honestly, the only thing that we really have to do to get from A to C is just to trust him every step of the way. What if I were to told you that God don't look at you no different than you and Pastor Darrell? And insert yourself. Anybody that's physically here, anybody that's listening to me right now, anybody that you admire spiritually, if it's me, like there's no difference between me and you. It's just the only difference probably is I've seen him move too much to no longer continue. I want to say this right. I've seen him move too much to forget that I already know the power of how to provoke his hand. And the way that you provoke God's hand, and we're not talking about manipulation. Oh, if you want to see God move, faith him into action. Ooh, trust him into action. I hear the Lord saying this. Small steps makes God move in small steps. But big steps and big leaps of faith, you'll see God move in the same intensity in his response. And so, you know, the only difference, honestly, is you are just one opportunity away from the thing that you've been praying to see God move in that way. And so the question is will we move out the way enough? Or even just to even because I ain't gonna go there. But even in terms of like just the lying down, is that we have no idea that you can lie down today and even be in a different pay grade when you wake up tomorrow. Like we're so focused on like if I lie down, if I stop, if I take a break, if I take a vacation, this is what I'm losing and this is what I'm missing. You have no idea that that if you would really lie down in faith and fully trust God in this season, you will wake up with a different house. You will wake up with a different job offer. You will wake up in a different tax bracket. Like literally, and we're gonna say the full testimony this morning because here's the testimony for this week. I walked in cocky. In the middle of it, God humbled me. In the midst of it, we elevated our faith and we walked out with a vehicle, right? Walked in and literally we woke up just deciding that day. Well, we won't buy a car today. Woke up that day. I ain't look at no bank account. I ain't run no credit report. We just decided we gonna buy a car today. And God is saying, you so busy, you know, and I hear that for you too. I hear that for you too. Y'all don't be so focused on what they're saying disqualifies you that you've already missed. The pre-approval was already there. And so that is the level of faith that only comes in the seasons of when we just lie down. Because the crazy part is, you know, and we have to look outside of just the Americanized version of Scripture, right? What we don't know is what if the green pastures simultaneously were in the valley of the shadow of death? If you really look at that scripture, there is a possibility that David laid down as he was walking through the valley of the shadow of death. God is saying, can you even trust me in a hostile season to lie down? Do you have enough faith, even in your boss acting crazy? Circumstances acting crazy, can you trust me enough to roll out green pastures even when you're trying to quit and leave and run?
And don't wait until the faith is forced.
Come on.
I had a just transparency. I had a situation where my faith was forced. A lot of our close friends know the story, but 2 weeks before our wedding, I was fired from my job. Venue still wasn't paid off. We still had, needed money to do things. And I remember walking to my mom's house on the phone with Kaya, and we're just going through, just like, I don't know how we're going to do this, that, and the third. We still owe the venue X amount of dollars, and it's just like,
You ain't had second thoughts, right?
no. I mean, we never thought of the conversation.
She was a
never
good
came
wife, good
across,
wife.
Of canceling anything, like, hey, we can't do this. It was just a, you know what, he's going to work it out kind of thing. And it's like, well, we don't have any other choice at this point but to trust him. So it was like, I took everything away from you. You don't have a choice but to believe that I'm going to take care of the situation. And he did. He took care of it. Not only did he take care of it to the point where he paid everything off, but we went on the honeymoon, and I went on the honeymoon unemployed, came back
Come on.
employed. Like, I can't, and did not, that, and it was one of those things where, like, people are having conversations in rooms that you don't even know that your name is being mentioned. Like, I came back to, like, hey, such and such told me, what happened. And it was from somebody who worked in the store across from where I worked. It's like, hey, I always saw what you did there. I always admired your work ethic, and I always wanted to steal you, but I didn't think I could. Here, we're going to give you this. And then when I went to, go there, it's like, you know what? I can't even put you in this position. We're going to move you up to here.
Come on.
Because you're too experienced to be here, so we're going to move there. And all of that happened while I was out of the country. And then I come back to, hey, you're going up to King of Prussia. You're going to be in the store. You're going to be at this position. I didn't fill out an application.
Come on.
I didn't make a phone call. It was just my name being spoken in rooms that I didn't even know was being spoken into.
The Kai said they brought the venue price down.
Yep. So that was the fourth phase situation, and it was super uncomfortable. And I always tend to think about that, where, like, I never want to go back to that situation.
Yeah.
Where I have to be forced into that super uncomfortable situation where it's like, you don't have any choice but to, so you got an option. You can have faith in me comfortably, where you voluntarily give me the wheel, and then I take care of everything, or I can strip everything away and you don't have a choice but to let me handle it. You choose.
Yeah. Riga says she about to get some sweet sleep tonight. I'm gonna give Stefan 30 seconds just to get his mind prepared, because I'm gonna have him pray over everybody that's at that place that we're prophesying, that's going from involuntary sleep or involuntary rest to now voluntary. But let me just say this first, and even to you, like, the pattern is already there. Like, you've just testified of what God can do. My question to you, this is rhetorical, is what's stopping the level of faith that you've already experienced from becoming that lifestyle and that perpetual journey for you? For everybody that's listening right now, I just want to say this, as we're transitioning to close this podcast tonight. God does not get the glory from involuntary obedience. God does not get the glory from our involuntary obedience. In every step of our life, in every place, in every circumstance, everywhere where our foot touches, God wants us to be intentional. God wants us to be consistent, and God wants us to be faithful. Well done, and well done, thy good and faithful servant. Because when you really allow God, like even Job, when you trust God in spite of the facts, that is when God gets the glory. And so today, you know, as controversial as some of y'all may have thought the title was, oh, he made me lie. And guess what? I ain't fight him. I ain't resist him. This podcast went really good because I had a setup that was very out there, and I forgot to say it tonight, right? But for anybody that's really struggling with burnout, was struggling with balance in their life, I want to question this: that it can't be God if there's never any opportunity to lie you behind down. It ain't God. It's a. Am I with her? Can I go to Dakaya? You have permission to run from that ministry if they'll work you more than they'll rest you. That job, that girlfriend, boyfriend, well, if you married, you locked in already, but that boyfriend and girlfriend, if they're only concerned about what you do for them and they're not concerned about the quality of your mental health and your spiritual health, run. Because in this season, he's making us lie down so that he can get the glory to produce something greater than we can ever had or experienced in our lives. And so I'm gonna let you give final remarks, and I want you just to pray for anybody and everybody that is in the season where we've demonized the rest, and God is saying, no, I'm trying to give you some sleep and some green pastures right now.
The one thing that we definitely need to remember in the season we're supposed to be resting is the battle was not ours. So we have to give it all over to him. And again, it is nothing wrong with the rest, whether that rest is just you sitting down and slowing down, or that rest is actually you sleeping to be prepared for what he has for you the next day. It is nothing wrong with, and I'm speaking to you just like I'm speaking to myself, that is nothing wrong with, it's nothing wrong with the rest. And this prayer is something that I typed out a while ago. And every time I go through or feel like I'm going through something, this prayer is part of pretty much like my worship, sort of like my reset to get me back to where I'm supposed to be. So this is the prayer that I'm going to pray for our closeout. And it goes, Lord, I don't know what the outcome of this difficult circumstance will be, but I know that you will work all things out for my good because I love you. Your grace is sufficient for me, and your power is made perfect in my weakness. So I boast about this trial and my weakness so that Christ's power may rest on me. Don't close on me, phone. God, after my suffering, please restore me and make me strong, firm, and steadfast. I know these sufferings will produce perseverance, character, and hope. For these light and momentary troubles are achieving for me an eternal glory that outweighs all of them. So in my trials, God, help me to fix my eyes not on what I see or the temporary things that burden me, but on the unseen, which is eternal. I pray that you and your comfort may guide me in my troubles, and they will also comfort others that will do the same. I'll delight in weakness and hardships and difficulties, for when I am weak, then I am strong in you. Lord, help me to remember that in everything, I am more than a conqueror through Christ. And because of this, I can approach your throne with grace and confidence. And in Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. And so we just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the House Call. Don't forget, we are here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live on Facebook and YouTube. And we do upload to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other ones that are up there. And so if you have not followed us on every platform, I need you, I'm not playing, right now, I need you to go follow us on every platform so that we can continue just to bring this word and more of just a relational and conversational way. And so we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget for the giving information. If you want to give, Cash App is the House Call Podcast, and PayPal is paypal.me/HOG Philly if you want to contribute and just continue to support what we're doing. And don't forget, we are live every Sunday at at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's late. I don't know what time we meet. But just look us up on the website, and don't forget to tune in every Thursday. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Good night. Good night.